Hi guys, my name is Pangura and today's video is all about recording drums. I am going to show you a couple of different overhead microphone placements and we are going to listen to recordings from my upcoming album and compare them. For this session I decided to use a spaced pair for the overheads. Both microphones are at about 40 inches from the center of the snare. I am also using a tube microphone for a mono room sound, which is being smashed by our Pro VLA tube compressor. I had to mic the right because the last chorus of this song has a very distinctive right part and I couldn't hear it enough in the mix. And also I had to put this behind the hi-hat. And yeah, wait to hear the sound. The second song is more of a bluesy rock tune, so I decided to use the Glyn Jones technique. The other thing that's different is that there are two microphones on the kick drum this time, and the room microphones are actually in the control room. For this overhead setup, one of the microphones is directly above the snare and the other one is 90 degrees to the side. Usually ends up a couple of inches above the floor tom, and again equidistant from the snare. Let's talk a little bit more about all of the spot microphones. I tend to prefer the Beta 57 over the regular 57 for snare because of its hypercardioid polar pattern, which really helps with reducing the bleed from the hi-hat. On the other hand, all of my toms are with regular 57s on them and I have an AKG D112 on the kick drum. When it comes to ride and hi-hat, I mic them only if it's needed, and when I do, I like a pencil condenser on the ride, and I kid you not, an SM7B on the hi-hat. I encourage you to try that out. When I want a bit more punch from the kick and the snare, I like to set up a crotch microphone placed right between the snare and the floor tom, looking at the side of the snare. In this example, I'm combining the aggressiveness of the crotch mic with a little bit higher placed spaced pair for a bigger sounding drums. For this one, it's gonna be a really minimalistic setup because I'm going to record kind of a bluegrass thing, which I will need only the snare and the kick and the hi-hat and the cymbal from time to time. And I need a mono kit. So let's set up a mono overhead. Now, there are a couple of different ways to accomplish that. I could use the over-the-shoulder microphone technique, which is a classic setup, but I don't really have the space for a microphone there. I could also place the microphone in front of the kit, looking at the snare, but since I'm not going to use the whole kit and I want a roomier sound, I'm going to set it up 45 to 50 inches above the snare. I will still be recording my kick and snare microphones so that I can add some definition later in the mix. That's alright. This is my C12 clone by Avantone, and of course it has variable polar patterns, and I'm gonna use it on Omni and probably try it on figure of 8 and see which one I like better. As you can see, I have little to none acoustic treatment in this room, just basically enough to cover the windows and the first reflections of my kit over there in the corner, this big window, and other than that it's just diffusion everywhere, literally. My grandma's beautiful flowers, some more down here, and yeah, let's hear how it sounds. I also recorded a shaker and a tambourine on separate tracks using my LCT 040 small diaphragm condenser microphones. Now let's hear all of it together. There is one last thing I wanted to talk about, and it's that the most important factor for getting a nice drum sound is actually the drummer sitting behind the drum kit and how the drums are tuned. So if you are like me and you are recording yourself most of the time, get behind the drum set and start practicing right away. And if it's the other way around, you should at least get some basic understanding of how to tune a drum kit. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!